where we discuss the possibilities.
Hi guys, I'm Joe Klemczewski, founder of The Diet Doc, here with Dr. Kori, our wellness director, health psychologist, and creator of some new curriculum. Kori, you dropped this on me yesterday at the very end of our podcast, and you have created something new. You're always doing that, just constantly bringing new information to people in different ways. So this one is titled, We Eat How We Live. Tell me all about it.
Yeah, so it's funny because Roseanne Piper, who's one of our owners in Canada, she signed up for this course that I just created, and she wrote me and she just said how excited she is, and she thanked me for continuing to put out this content. And you know what I said to her is it's the excitement from you guys who want the content that keeps me going, and that is kind of my foundation for staying creative and putting this information out there. So yeah, it's kind of it is a labor of love. This is content that really, it resonates with a lot of people, and I am constantly getting questions from clients and others about emotional eating. And how do I move past that? How do I get through it? How do I change my mind? How do I change my brain? How do I change my life? I'm like, all of these limiting beliefs that I have, what do I do with them? And all of these thoughts that I have. So yeah, it's called We Eat How We Live. And it's really, I think that meals and the manner in which we feed ourselves is a really great metaphor for how we live our lives and how we treat ourselves in many ways.
So let's break this down in small chunks, because I don't want viewers and listeners to miss what this really is. So just starting with the title, We Eat How We Live, that's a pretty groundbreaking premise, in my opinion, because everybody comes to us looking for an answer. They want some kind of a plan. They want something to be said that impacts them so greatly that they say, now I've got it. Now that changed my life. I'm done. And what you're saying, I think, we eat how we live is if you take care of some more foundational elements of your overall life, it's going to make the eating part, the physique transformation part, the health renewal part way easier, if not pretty darn easy. So tell me if I'm on track.
Yeah, you are, Joe. And I want to kind of start at the beginning, where in the first part of the course, I give a little bit of history about myself and how I came to that place where you just said a client comes to this point where they're like, I'm done. They want that I'm done. I came to the place of no freaking more. I got to the point in my life where I was like, I can't do this anymore. This has to change. I can't live like this anymore, because I wasn't really living. And that's the point. The manner in which I was eating was I was starving myself. I was exercising 4 times a day. I was 96 pounds. I was incredibly unhealthy. I lived a very finite, confined, rigid little life. This was start of college. I didn't go out. I didn't do anything. I didn't have any friends. I studied. I exercised. I didn't eat. And I stayed in my dorm all the time. And it was the turning point for me was when I went to student health, and I had gotten my blood test back, and my blood sugar was 30. And I was still awake and functioning. I don't know how, but the doctor said, Kori, you're killing yourself. And it was those words from a person that was not connected to me. I didn't know this person. Like, my mom knew I was struggling. My family knew I was struggling. They couldn't do anything about it. I wouldn't listen. But it was those words that flipped a switch for me. And I remember walking back to my dorm, and it was that sobbing, like, the thought was, I I want to live. I don't want to kill myself, but I don't know how. I don't know how to live. There was never a thought of ending my life, but I wasn't living. And so it was no more. I can't do this anymore. And on the way back to my dorms, I committed to change. I committed to feeling. I committed to living. I committed to doing everything that was uncomfortable, because everything was just, while it was ineffective and incredibly unhealthy, it was familiar. And I was stuck in these ruts and these patterns of behavior. And so, like so many of our clients who come to us, it's a matter of helping them to generate a new level of self-awareness through observing what's happening, how they're thinking, how they're acting, what they're doing. Does it serve a generative purpose, in order to then choose a new way of doing things and a new way of thinking things and a new way of behaving.
Can I interject something there?
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, thanks for sharing that. That's just unbelievably profound. And you said something that almost immediately brought tears to my eyes, because I see this in so many people that we work with. But I also, as a father of children now, 24 years old to 16, I'm seeing my kids move into the age and through the age that you were just describing. And at the risk of this sounding too esoteric, that's what I want to avoid. You said something, I did not know how to live. Yeah. And as philosophical as that sounds, I want those words for this podcast to be an anchor point, because whether you're 16 years old or 20 years old or 60 years old, it's okay and probably a very good thing to admit that I really don't know how to live. I would love some help. And it's not just, hey, give me this one principle, or let's go quote some Dostoevsky together and we'll find our purpose in life. It's having a much smaller seam that you enter into to just peel open that little gap and say, I really need something bigger and newer and more profound in my life. Mm-hmm. And those words, man, when you said that, I didn't know how to live. I needed to find out how to live. Mm-hmm. That's something. I mean, we need to talk about that, but I don't want to dominate your time here in explaining what you're going to do with this course. So I'll let you.
To that, like, it was fucking scary, pardon my language, to say that. But that was the truth. I didn't know what to do. I did not know how to live. Didn't want to die. Didn't know how to live. I needed an anchor of some sort. And food was an anchor, but not in a healthy way. Like, it was drowning me. So there was some exploration to be had. There was some discovery. And the scariness of walking into the unknown and a massive level of uncertainty became the goal. Because everything was so structured. Everything that I was doing was based on certainty. I knew what, I knew when, I knew how. It wasn't effective long-term and for health, but it was a structure that I could do. And I did it really well. So it became a process of committing to the unknown and the uncertainty and realizing that that's where all the possibilities are. When we walk into what we don't understand, that's where it's infinite possibilities. Because I was living according to the past. I was living according to conditioning. I was living according to the words of other people that I'd heard and latched onto. So with this course, the first part of it, Joe, is it's all about self-observation to move into self-awareness. That's week 1. And it's structured, there are 7 weeks. So each week is based on a new concept. And so, I do a 20 to 30 minute video explaining the concept, and then I take them into an activity. So they're doing that throughout the week. They're practicing and trying on new behavior and new ways of thinking, because what we have to do in order to change is to develop new habits. We have to get out from underneath the current ones and that old programming, so to speak, and develop new programming. Most of us are walking through the world and through our lives and in our careers and in our relationships on automatic pilot. We're just doing the same thing every day, but we've never really asked ourselves why. How come? Is there a reason I'm doing this? Is this generative? Is it helping me? Is it effective? Is it fostering growth and learning? So that's what we do in the first week.
So I'm going to jump back in here. I said I want to carve this up into digestible bites for people. There is not a day that goes by where I don't quote you to clients or friends. And I don't mind saying this as a plug for your course, because I have clients who have worked with mental health professionals and even people who have been in a disordered eating cycle and worked with clinical professionals in that realm. And nobody, in my experience, has ever gotten through to people quicker than you have. And it's not just because you know a lot about food, because of your entire life's history in physiology and sport. It's not just about having a PhD in health psychology. There's something as a cognitive behavioral therapist that you just get, that you help people apply very, very quickly. And the quotes I often use are exactly what you just described. And just being able to stop, view your life with some objectivity, have that pausing point, have that reflection. All of these are cliche words that you hear every day. They're probably in a million memes in social media. But when you sit down with somebody and look at them eye to eye and start working with them, you have completely changed lives. And I've never seen anybody do that better. So I'm glad you're putting this in a course like this. It's going to be profound.
Thank you, Joe. I really appreciate that very much.
Okay, so what's week 2?
Transition. Kori just needs to bask in that glow for a little bit.
You can bask as we keep going. I'm watching the clock for the podcast.
That's actually, though, it's a very well-researched strategy for change, is to, when something good, when something positive, when something generative occurs in your life, to let it sink in, to have the experience, to allow that felt sense of it to just permeate.
Mm-hmm. So we can stop for a while if you want. We'll just take a time out, let everybody just relax for 5 minutes. We'll just sit here, a moment of silence for Kori.
Okay, here's week 2. It's all about paying attention. This is what it's called. It's a lesson in attentional training. So this is about mindfulness. I teach people what mindfulness is. And then what we get into is the difference between feelings and emotions. So you mentioned cognitive behavioral therapy. Yes, I'm trained in that. I did that in my years of work as a therapist. But let's get away from the language and the theory to the real practicality of it and understanding what are thoughts. We have a thought stream, and our minds are doing what our minds do when they have thoughts. It's not bad, it's not good. That's just a neutral thing. It's a part of life. But we have to learn how to approach them and not control them, but how to be with them and not to get snagged by them, because thoughts lead into emotions, which is this energy that we feel inside of us, whether it's a depressed energy, that's a feeling, okay? We give emotions names called feelings. Emotion is just energy inside of us. We can call it depression, we can call it joy, we can call it awe, we can call it happiness, we can call it discouragement, stress, whatever. But are we getting snagged by and are we being controlled by the actual label that we're using? Depression has a feeling to it, right? Or because no one says, I'm depressed. Everyone says, I'm depressed. And there's a whole bodily thing that happens there too. And so it's paying attention to that. How do I express myself? What kinds of thoughts do I have? How do they come in? How do they go out? And we do a fun activity in this one where I ask people to really consider approaching them in different ways. And then we get more into that further on down in the course. And so we can question them, we can acknowledge them, we can ignore them, we can get angry with them and argue with them. And so I ask people to do each one of those things throughout the week and just to see what happens. Just pay attention, observe it, see what happens, what effect it has on the energy inside of you. Does it cause you to constrict and close down and kind of, wall yourself off? Or do you feel open and expansive and energetic and vital? So then we get into a time assessment and mindful eating. Most of us, I think, can relate to always saying, I don't have time. I need more hours in the day. Well, a lot of us say that. It's automatic. It's a habit when we feel some level of pressure to do something that we may not want to do, or that we feel pressured to do, or that someone is saying that we need to do or that we should do. But we've never really taken an assessment of how we're spending our time. And so it may sound like this is way far off from emotional eating, but it's not, because that pressure of time, and we're creating that pressure of time because we all have the same 24 hours in the day, it affects how we eat and move through the world. So we do a time assessment, and then we actually create a mindful eating practice that is extended throughout the entire length of the course. And it's my hope that through the course and the practice that, participants keep doing it because they feel the benefits of it.
Well, what is the length of the course?
It's 7 weeks.
Okay. I want to backtrack a little bit, segueing back into the second part and then into the third.
Yeah.
You mentioned the feelings versus emotions and all of that. Mm-hmm. And channeling my inner Kori, I can tell you that in the last few weeks, I have felt, some anxiety, some different things, traveling and all of this. And there have been times when I've been under the gun that I just felt like this is not healthy. This is not where I should be. And so some pretty, profound things happening. So I thought to myself, like I always do, what would Kori do? WWKD. And so there were times when I just had to do exactly what you said in this segment here, which is to say, okay, wait a second. This is as dire as this feels. Mm-hmm. A week from now or a month from now or a year from now, it's probably going to be nothing. It's going to be fine. I'm going to have worked through it. So what can I do now, another Koriism, to change this, to make it better, to have an impact? And there are times that when I really felt like my blood pressure might be at stroke level, I would just lay on my back, close my eyes, and we always talk about neuroplasticity and neural integration, meditation, all the Dr. Siegel stuff. And I would just simply talk myself into not another emotion, but another train of thoughts of, okay, objectively, what should I be doing? Instead of sitting here feeling mired in this, what's my next step? What objectively can I do? When I grab an ink pen, as soon as I stand up, like, what can I write down that's going to be my next step out of this? And so to create more objectivity instantly does change those feelings. And
yeah, I love what you did there, because you were monitoring, you were observing. It's like, now it's out here. There's some level of distance between me and this intensity. Now it's not me, it's energy. Okay, let me pay attention. I'm going to monitor this. And now I have the ability to modify it.
Mm-hmm. And that's the empowerment that you can feel. And I really experienced this in I think, a pretty tangible way. And that in those moments of, you know, call it despair, where you just feel like, gosh, what am I going to do? What's going to happen? And instead, within 5 or so minutes, you can change that into empowerment. Like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to get to the other side of this better than ever. You know, and so you go from literally being flat on your back to having a game plan and actually feeling confident.
Well, you shifted your physiology. You got on the floor and you shifted your physiology in a way that allowed you to move out of threat. Like, oh my God, I'm going to die. Like, this is a survival moment, to, okay, present moment right now. I'm okay. I'm okay. You were in worst case scenario mode, projecting way, way, way far too into the future. But, and this is what's interesting, with the physiology and energy and emotion of the past. This is how patterned behavior, like, this is what you have learned to do when things get really hairy and scary.
T-shirt for you.
So you changed your physiology, which then allowed you to refocus your mind and your thoughts on, what may I influence right now in this moment, one thing. Yeah, that's beautiful. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, just in kind of a summary, guys, everybody listening and viewing, this is the amazingness that is Dr. Kori Probst. And I mean, if you have been following her or us for any length of time, you'll see that every couple months, maybe every quarter, a couple times a year, she is creating curriculum and courses that are topical in nature. You know, there's always something different, but to use her word, it's very generative to help you get to another space. And many of the things that I have experienced in 10 or 12 years knowing Kori end up exactly like I just described. You know, you hear something she says, she teaches something, you mull that around for a while, and then when you need it, it just explodes into real life change. It's just powerful stuff, Kori.
Thank you. Thanks, Joe. Yeah. Just to kind of wrap up, we hit on 1 week is all about self-sabotage. That's a big topic for most people. Another week is about commitment, really committing to something and digging in and recognizing that it's going to take constant recommitment and recommitment and recommitment. And in mindfulness literature, they call it, we begin again and we begin again and we begin again. And I think a lot of people feel badly when they feel like they've messed up or they've taken a step back or they've got kind of snagged or caught up in old behavior. You know what? When you notice you did, you're right. You're aware. When you notice that has happened, you're aware and you have that's your opening for a recommitment and to begin again. And then finally, it's eating as an act of self-compassion and what I like to call radical ownership. Okay, so that's a big word for me, is two big words: responsibility and ownership. No one's going to save us. No one's going to do this for us. We have a responsibility to learn and grow and make different choices every moment of the day. And ideally in the present moment, not from past conditioning and old behaviors and patterned programming. So that's what the 7 weeks covers, and I'm excited about it.
All right, guys. If you want to know how to live, and I'm just going to say it as big as that. I mean, no punches pulled. I know it's going to change your life. So this is a course that's going to be opening up soon. I'll let Kori tell you exactly how to get involved. Even if you're viewing or watching this 10 years from now, I guarantee you there will be some things that Kori is still doing that you can be involved in. You can go back and binge watch 8,000 hours of stuff you missed in the last decade. But for now, those of us, Kori, who want to change how we live, because we eat how we live, we want better radical ownership. Tell us how to get involved.
Yeah. So if you guys just go to thedietdoc.com/shop, just go to our shop. You're going to find the course right there. You can register right there. Right now because it officially begins on September 24th. It doesn't close after that. Like, you can sign up at any time, guys, but between now and September 24th, that's Monday, I am offering an early bird discount. And so if you use code FOODFREEDOM, you'll get $50 off the regular price of $250. So would love to have you guys involved. Obviously, it's going to be a good one. Had a lot of fun putting it together. Joe, thank you for your thoughts on all of that too, and for sharing your experience. I
think I'm going to go sign up. I need some more Kori in my life.
All right, guys. Thank you very much, and we'll catch you next time.
Thanks, guys.